Like many students, I have struggled with standardized testing. When it comes to papers or speeches or projects, I excel, but when it comes to test taking, I struggle. Even in this class, I've struggled with the tests, but I've excelled in other areas. Standardized testing has been shown to cause student stress to the point of which young children have vomited and cried, and in some cases both. Standardized testing not only causes stress, but it's not teaching to really have your students learn. Teachers are being told to teach for the test, which replaces good teaching practices. Teaching for the test does not help students to actually take in the information that they're being taught and learn how to apply it and use it. They're just getting this information and having to immediately start memorizing it for their tests. Standardized testing also does not accurately take a measurement of intelligence for many students. This kind of testing is only a measurement of memorization of all the information that has been thrown at them over a certain amount of time. Not every student has a flawless memory, so standardized testing can be biased to many students. In my speech, I will be discussing how standardized testing does not help our children to become better students, but it only hurts them. First, I will talk about the dangers that are caused by the extreme stress of standardized testing on students. Then I will talk to you about how teachers are being told to teach for the benefit of just the tests and not for the benefit of the student. And finally, I will be discussing how standardized testing is not a true test of intelligence, but a test of how well a student can memorize information. Standardized testing has been shown to cause an uproar of anxiety in children and in young adults. Some other symptoms of this test anxiety can include sweating, just really being shaking and like crying, and like I said, in some cases even vomiting. Tests can help to determine future lifespans for students which can be extremely frightening and cause unnecessary amounts of anxiety for children as young as 8 years old. I am someone who has test anxiety, and no matter how hard I study for a test, sometimes I just can't perform to the best of my ability because the anxiety and the pressure that comes along with these testing, it really hurts me and it doesn't help me to perform the way that I need to perform to get the grade that I need. Test anxiety doesn't just easily go away, and it takes a lot of preparation for me to feel like I can really take the test and excel. With all the pressure that's put on students to, excel in testing, teachers have to learn how to teach the appropriate material, but only for the test. Teachers are no longer teaching for kids to learn and understand the information, but teaching because they have to teach this because it's on the test. And with the No Child Left Behind law, this holds teachers and schools accountable, leading to the focus on state standardized testing and the results. Schools that don't meet these standards created by their state are subject to federal sanctions that include loss of federal funds, providing free tutoring, and allowing their students to transfer schools, and in some cases even restructuring of the entire school, shutting it down and redoing it because something just isn't working. Teachers now have added pressure that they have to be able to teach their students accordingly and make sure that they know the information for the test, but this only adds the stress to students and teachers. Standardized testing does not accurately measure a student's intelligence, but it can measure how well a student can memorize information. While we're sitting in class and we're trying to learn and we're trying to focus and we're getting all of this information thrown at us, and in college cases you're in multiple different classes at a time, so each class that you go to you're taking notes to the best of your ability. And at least in my case, I had 2 classes that were very, very similar, and trying to memorize the same information but only slightly different really hurt me when it came to tests, because I would confuse the information for the other class, and that's obviously a problem when it comes to test taking. That's not something that you can, figure out while you're sitting there in the test room. You can't pull out your notes. So these tests are no longer, or tests in general are no longer in place to help a student get into the right classes or make sure that the student is getting the additional help that they need, but to make sure that the schools are providing or meeting the standards provided by the state. They're just there to hold the students, or hold their schools accountable for their students and how well they can take tests. It's all about how well can you take a test, not how well or how intelligent you are. This method does not really help students to understand and learn the topic that they're discussing, but they to make sure that the tests are memorizing the information and make sure that the school looks okay and is held to the accountability that they need to be held at. Today we have discussed the harm that comes to students and teachers from standardized testing. Standardized testing, as we learned, causes so much anxiety, which is obviously terrible on a kid because they already have so much stress with other classes and other things in their life that we don't know about. This teach for test attitude is not helping teachers, and it's not helping their students learn. And tests don't measure your intelligence. You can be extremely smart but be a terrible test taker, and that's okay. These tests do not measure your intelligence. And for today's speech, I went ahead and brought some Scantrons, which is how you take a standardized test. So thank you. Oh, I'll show you guys.